You don't have to raise your voice. You don't need to slam the door or write a 3-page monologue. You just need one clear move, one bold shift in how you respond. Here's the truth. Toxic people thrive in confusion. They thrive where your lines are dotted, where your maybe is louder than your no. They don't back off because you explain more. They back off when you stop negotiating with nonsense. The one thing you need to do, draw a boundary and keep it once, without guilt, without exception. You see, every time you over-explain, every time you bend your piece for someone else's comfort, you're giving a green light. You're teaching them, I'll tolerate this, I'll stay quiet, I'll carry what isn't mine. Not anymore. Because one day, you stop explaining, you stop texting back, you stop engaging the drama, not to punish them, but to protect yourself, and suddenly they feel the shift. The silence stings more than any argument you could have had. The distance is louder than any comeback, and the door you quietly closed, they can't find a way back in. Let's be honest, it doesn't take years of therapy to make that choice. It takes one moment of clarity, one moment of courage, one moment where you decide, this is not mine to carry. From that point on, your energy changes. You're no longer reactive, you're intentional, you're no longer drained, you're directed. And that energy, it's untouchable. You don't have to warn them. You don't have to make a scene. You just become unavailable to chaos. And the moment you do, the toxic people don't know what to do with you anymore. Because you've done the one thing they can't handle. You chose peace over pleasing. You chose clarity over conflict. You chose you. And when you do that once, just once, the message is loud, the lesson is clear, and they never bother you again. You train people how to treat you by what you allow. Every moment you let disrespect slide, you're silently saying, this is acceptable. Every time you say yes, when your gut screams no, you're handing them permission to cross a line. And every time you over-explain yourself to justify something as simple as needing peace, you're opening the door wider for people to disregard your value. It doesn't start with a big dramatic moment. It starts small, letting someone interrupt you repeatedly, apologizing for things that weren't your fault, explaining your choices to people who never explain theirs. That becomes the pattern, and patterns become permission. The moment you decide to stop over-explaining, everything shifts. You don't owe a detailed backstory for every boundary. You don't have to justify why you need time, space, or silence. When you say, I'm not available for that, or that doesn't work for me, and leave it at that, you're speaking with authority, not arrogance, not anger, just certainty. People respect standards. They may not like them, especially those who benefited from your lack of them, but they respect them. And if they don't, they reveal themselves quickly. You see, silence is not weakness, it's power. It's a signal that you're not here to argue about your worth. It's a pause that says, this is where I stand, with or without your understanding. And in a world that teaches you to be agreeable at the cost of your identity, standing firm is a radical act of self-respect. Now here's what they won't tell you. When you raise your standard, people will leave. Not everyone, but the ones who only stayed because of what you tolerated, they'll disappear. Let them. That's not loss. That's clarity. That's peace walking in where manipulation used to live. So if you're waiting for the right moment to start demanding better, it's not coming. You create it. You set the bar by how you move, what you accept, and how you respond when it's crossed. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing, no reaction, no back and forth, no attempt to convince someone to do the bare minimum. Because here's the truth, the moment you stop over-explaining and start drawing clear boundaries, the game changes. People either rise to meet your standard or fall away trying to bring you back down. Your silence and your standards, they speak louder than any defense. And in that space of clarity, something amazing happens. You stop attracting chaos and start commanding respect. And once that shift happens, there's no going back. You've shown them once and for all how you deserve to be treated, and now it's on them to adjust. Not you. A single moment of bold honesty is louder than years of polite suffering. You can endure toxic behavior for months, even years, hoping things will change. You smile through the discomfort. You laugh off the disrespect. You say, it's fine. When deep down, you know it's not. You shrink yourself to keep the peace, not realizing that all you're doing is postponing a war within yourself. Polite suffering becomes your daily costume. You show up, you engage, you nod along, but inside, you're resentful, drained, and slowly disconnecting from your own sense of worth. All because you think that being honest would be too much, too aggressive, too uncomfortable. But then one day something shifts. You're done. Not angry, not loud, just done. And in that quiet moment, you choose bold honesty over silent endurance. You look them in the eye and say, "That's not okay." Or, "We're not doing this anymore." Or maybe just, no, not with rage, not with emotion running high, but with a calm that says, "I see exactly what's happening, and I'm no longer pretending I don't." That one moment, that one sentence can unravel years of manipulation, because when you calmly call out behavior without emotional overload, you're no longer playing by their rules. You're not reactive, you're not giving them fuel. You're cutting straight through the noise with truth. And it's sharp, it's unmistakable. It lands differently than any passive hint or subtle signal ever could. They may try to act surprised. They may accuse you of being cold or distant. But deep down, they know. They know you've finally seen through the pattern, and more importantly, they know you're not going back. That moment of truth resets everything. Because now, the standard has been spoken. And once it's spoken, it can't be undone. It creates a boundary, a new line in the sand, and from this point forward, things either change or end, and if they end, that's okay. Because peace is a better partner than politeness ever was, and honesty, even when it's hard, is still easier than carrying the weight of silence. You don't have to burn bridges. You don't need to make a scene. But you do need to stop betraying yourself in the name of keeping others comfortable. So speak the truth, even if your voice trembles, even if your hands shake, even if they walk away after hearing it, because that one bold moment could be the most powerful thing you ever do for your sanity. And the second you stop sugarcoating reality, you begin building a life where you no longer have to suffer quietly. In the end, you'll realize it only takes one moment of truth to rewrite a story that's been hurting you for years. And when you do that, you're not just being honest, you're finally being free. Distance is not drama, it's direction. You don't have to justify your absence. You don't need a grand explanation or a final speech to prove why you've had enough. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to quietly step away, not to hurt anyone, not to punish them, but to honor yourself. Toxic people will often label your silence as petty, your boundaries as betrayal, your distance as overreaction. But what they really fear is your clarity, the realization that you no longer need their chaos to feel connected. They want you caught in the loop, explaining, defending, and doubting yourself. They want access to your peace, not because they value it, but because they want to control it. But here's the truth: you don't have to invite them into the decision. You just go. You stop replying. You stop participating. You stop being available for situations that cost more than they give. No door slam, no emotional outburst. Just space, because space is a statement. It says, "I've given all I can, and I'm done sacrificing my peace to make you comfortable." It says, "This version of me no longer plays small so you can feel big." That message is louder than any argument, more cutting than any clap back, and more lasting than any temporary confrontation. Distance is a filter. It shows you who was really there for connection and who was just there for control. When you step back, watch how the room shifts. Watch who respects the space and who tries to bulldoze through it. Watch who reaches out with understanding and who lashes out with blame. The beautiful part: you don't have to respond. You're not responsible for their reaction to your healing. You're responsible for protecting the progress you've made. People who truly care will respect your distance and reflect on their own behavior. People who are only there to benefit from your lack of boundaries will accuse you of creating drama. Let them. Let your peace speak for itself. Let your absence reveal what your presence was really worth. And if they ask, "Why are you acting different?" you don't owe a monologue, just a smile and a simple truth: "I'm just focused on my peace." See, distance isn't cold. It's clarity. It's stepping out of the storm long enough to remember who you are. It's choosing not to prove your worth to people who never saw it in the first place. And when you realize that you don't need to be loud to be heard, that your silence holds just as much power as your words, you start walking away from what doesn't serve you, not with anger, but with purpose. So no, distance isn't drama, it's direction. And sometimes the clearest message you'll ever send is the one you never say out loud. Your boundary is not a request, it's a standard. It's not a suggestion, it's not up for debate, it's not an opening line to a negotiation. A true boundary doesn't ask for permission, it doesn't seek approval, it simply exists, clearly, confidently, and unapologetically. And the moment you start treating it that way, people respond differently. Toxic people don't test your words, they test your actions. They listen less to what you say and more to what you tolerate. You can say no 100 times, but if they see you flinch, hesitate, or give in after a little pressure, they know all they have to do is push harder. It's not about hearing no. It's about whether that no is real or reversible. That's the game for them, finding the cracks in your confidence, the softness in your stance, the guilt in your tone. But when your no becomes a full sentence, when it's calm, consistent, and final, they have nowhere to go. You take the wind out of their manipulation, you stop being a maybe, and start being a line they can't cross. Setting a boundary doesn't make you hard or heartless. It makes you healthy. It's how you teach people how to treat you. It's how you preserve your energy, your values, and your emotional space. And if someone can't handle your boundary, that's not your burden, it's their mirror. People who respect you will respect your boundaries. People who only wanted to benefit from your lack of boundaries, they'll call you difficult, selfish, or cold. Let them. You are not here to shrink for their comfort. You are not here to explain yourself into exhaustion. Once you stop treating your limits like polite suggestions, everything changes. Because now, you're no longer available for the tug of war. You're no longer stuck in the cycle of bending, breaking, and rebuilding your sense of self just to keep the peace. You've decided that your peace matters more than their approval. And the moment you reinforce your boundary, not with anger, but with clarity, the power dynamic shifts. They realize the old tools don't work anymore. They can't guilt you. They can't push you. They can't sweet talk or intimidate their way past the gate you've now locked shut. That's not cold. That's growth. And in that growth you find something toxic people will never give you, self-respect. So let your no be firm. Let your "I'm not okay with that" stand unshaken. Don't over-explain. Don't apologize for your standards. Because the right people won't need convincing. And the wrong people, they'll eventually walk away when they realize they can't manipulate what's no longer bendable. Your boundary is not a request. It's a reflection of how far you've come. And it's the reason toxic people lose access, not because you became cruel, but because you finally became clear. Protecting your peace isn't rude, it's responsible. Some people will call it selfish when you stop answering every call, stop rescuing every crisis, stop sacrificing your mental health for someone else's emotional instability. But those are usually the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries in the first place. They never had to consider your needs, because you were always the one over-giving, over-compromising, and over-functioning. But here's the truth: you're not here to carry the weight of others' dysfunction. You're not a rehab center for toxic behavior. You're not a sponge for other people's emotional mess. You are not obligated to absorb what someone else refuses to process. And the moment you finally recognize that, the moment you stop explaining yourself and start choosing yourself, the game changes. That act of self-respect, even if it's small, sends a ripple. Maybe it's the first time you don't text back immediately. Maybe it's the first time you say, "I'm not available for that conversation." Or maybe it's the first time you don't attend the drama they invited you to. Whatever it is, that one move disrupts their pattern. It catches them off guard because they're used to you always showing up, always smoothing things over, always setting yourself on fire to keep the room warm, but not anymore. Now, you're choosing peace, not passivity, peace. And peace, real peace, requires strength. It means walking away from what's familiar but toxic. It means saying no without guilt. It means choosing solitude over chaos and calm over constant conflict. You're not rude for protecting that space. You're wise. You're finally recognizing that your energy has value, that your mental health deserves priority, and that your emotional stability isn't up for grabs. And yes, people might react. They might say you've changed. They might accuse you of being distant, cold, or selfish. Let them. That's not a reflection of your character. It's a reflection of how much they relied on your lack of boundaries. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to feel bad for outgrowing environments that thrive on chaos. And you certainly don't have to keep proving your loyalty to people who only loved you when you were easy to use. Protecting your peace is one of the most responsible things you can do for your relationships, your health, and your future. Because the people who truly care about you, they'll respect your boundaries, they'll celebrate your growth, and they'll know that your no doesn't mean rejection, it means balance. So don't apologize for choosing yourself. Don't shrink to fit places that made you feel small. And don't second guess the quiet that comes after distance. That's where healing begins. Let that one act of self-respect echo. Let it remind people that your peace is protected, not negotiable. and watch how quickly dysfunction realizes it can no longer find a home in your life. After everything we've covered, the power of silence, the strength in boundaries, the clarity in truth, and the responsibility of protecting your peace, here's what it all comes down to. You are not here to be manipulated, drained, or disrespected. You are here to live in alignment with your values, to stand firmly in your worth, and to choose peace over performance. You don't need to fight for space in rooms that don't honor your presence. You don't have to explain your boundaries to people who were never planning to respect them. And you certainly don't have to carry the emotional weight of people who refuse to carry their own. One act of clarity, one moment of courage, one boundary held, that's all it takes to shift everything. That's how you reclaim your peace. That's how toxic people lose access, not because you attack them, but because you stop making yourself available to be used. Your power is not in how loudly you react. It's in how quietly you choose peace and never look back. So remember this: you don't owe anyone a response that costs you your mental health. You don't owe chaos a seat at your table just because it's familiar. You owe yourself freedom, peace, and the kind of life where your energy is protected, not exploited. Set the standard. Keep the boundary. Speak the truth, and when they walk away, let them. Thank you for listening, for choosing growth, and most of all, for choosing yourself. Your peace is worth protecting always. Thank you.